Oh, why was that mic muted? What the hell? How did that mic even get muted? That's so weird. How long was it muted for? I recorded a video with that mic on today. So how did it get muted all of a sudden? Oh, I know how it got muted. I pressed the button by mistake on the stream deck, which I usually don't press, and that's probably why those problems came in. Anyways, as I was saying, today we were having some issues. The Twitter stream does not want to go live for some reason, so you have to watch me today on YouTube, on Twitch, on Kick.com. Most of you watch me on YouTube anyway, so it doesn't really matter. But the Twitter streams today seems to have crashed for me. I'm not sure if I did something wrong on the setup of my. It says status timed out. Why? Oh, because I didn't go live by 4:15 and it was scheduled for 4:15. Ah, that probably makes a lot more sense. Anyways, Twitter, no stream on Twitter today, but you catching me on YouTube. All my usual regulars are on YouTube. Anyways, TH, John Vaughn in the house for now. Dieter's probably at work, and the rest of you hopefully will tune in later on. We were talking about the week ahead, brand new week ahead, FOMC week. The earnings board very, very dead. But still some names on the board to keep an eye out for. Along with that, we do have a little surprise. Well, not really a surprise anymore because I already dropped the video about this little advantage that we can start taking from the earnings catalyst. It's basically prediction markets, right? Poly market prediction markets. I made a little YouTube short, an Instagram and a TikTok short about it, so make sure you go check it out. Hit the like and hit the drop a comment in that video for the algorithm to tickle the algorithm for me if you can. But more importantly, I want to talk about how we can take advantage of those tools for ourselves in the coming earnings season. Right now, as I said earlier, earnings season a little bit coming to an end, but as one earnings season comes to an end, another season starts to begin right around the corner. This week we have Dave and Buster's play pre-market Monday, which is today. General Mills pre-market Wednesday along with Manchester United. Cracker Barrel Wednesday after hours along with Bullish, which is a recent IPO. Thursday pre-market you have Darden Restaurants along with FactSet, and then the very same day after hours you have FedEx, Lennar, and Scholastic, who they have a decent chart. Not a bad chart on Scholastic, so worth keeping an eye on for a possible swing trade coming into play off of the earnings reaction, especially if they report some sort of episodic pivot level earnings report, an expectation of the stock watching it go up 10% and then flying up more would not be out of the books given the current environment the market's in. Volatility is actually going up. At the same time, the markets are going up, which is a beautiful environment to be in. For example, QQQ all-time high, S&P 500 all-time high, and at the same time, if you go to the VIX, VIX is up 7% today. Usually, it's inverse related, not 100%, right? Usually, it's inverse related when the VIX is going up. The market's going down. When the market's going up, the VIX is going down. But now it's showing you that, hey, possibly some sign of overextended maybe. Today we saw Tesla going up for 6% to the upside, only closed up 3.5%, but basically going up 6% to the upside, going up to a price point of $420 funding secured price point, and just really ripping the faces off the shorts. Elon Musk apparently bought $1 billion worth of stock on Friday, and you saw the strength that the stock had on Friday, the strength that the stock had on Thursday, basically creating the breakout and buying on the breakout itself. almost like he is one of us, right? He is a degenerate day trader trading off of technicals just like us. And as the stock broke out of this daily chart, buying $1 billion worth of stock on that day on the open market. There's a very famous tweet, actually, or not tweet. That's hilarious that I called it a tweet. There's a very famous quote, actually, that says, investors often sell for many reasons. You know, they need to go buy a house, they need to go buy a ring for their third wife, they need to pay for their kids, I don't know, jail fees or something, right? But not often do you when they do buy, they only buy it for one reason, because they think that the stock is actually going to the upside. They think that there is new value about to be poured into the stock, possibly from the robotics sector, from the full self-driving in Australia. Recently, I'm seeing a lot of positive catalysts about the Australia full self-driving launch. You know, a lot of YouTube videos from Australian creators are also coming out about that. Then you have robotics. RR for today, for example, going back up to the $40 area. So all kinds of wonderful setups just coming and setting up across the market. And Tesla being in the robotic sector, you're seeing this, you know, being front run a little bit, right? The market's taking advantage of the stock and trying to position itself for not only the EV sector, but also the robotics, the solar, the energy, the AI, and all sorts of future Tesla plays that could come out of it. So Tesla making a monster move today. Did go up to $426 almost, but closing at $410 now, up 4% and the after in the regular market hours today. But in the after hours, trying to stay above 410, which is very good. I would like to see it continue doing that. We'll circle back to Tesla later on when we're charting. But just wanted to quickly give a shout out to Elon Musk for creating this wonderful pump on the market, on the stock itself. Almost like, you know, Elon Musk actually has incentives based payouts, meaning when a stock hits a certain price, his payout gets bigger. So him doing this is almost in a way manufacturing more buyers, more shareholders, more longs, which will bring the stock higher and then eventually make his pay better. So you know, one of the best ways to pump it in a way, in my opinion at least, that's what he's doing at the moment. But you could say, you know, if it's not pumping, there's also apparently a rule that says, you know, when an investor goes out and buys stock on the open market, they actually can't go and sell the stock within 6 months. They have to hold on to that stock for 6 months, or they forfeit all of the gains on that position. If they have any gains, they forfeit those gains. What he could also do is actually take losses on that position and you know, use that as a tax write-off, right? So we don't know actually what he plans to do, but $1 billion worth of open market buying, which he will have to hold on to 6 months for at the very least, if he plans to make profits out of that. And you know, when a investor, when a CEO buys stocks, he only buys it, or she only buy it for one specific reason. They think the market's going up or the stock is going up. So clearly, monster move over here on this bad boy. Even other stocks such as Google gapped up on that news, but Google spent actually it went back to the high side. When I saw Google, I thought it was you know, about to spend its day giving back its gains, but it in fact actually held on to its gains and closed back at higher day. Shout out to Google for that one, up $10, $11 on the day, almost 5%. Lots of stocks on the board today for us to talk about. So why don't we go ahead and bring in the watch list. Let me quickly bring in the watch list for us. And actually, let me see if I can... Where is this? I want to go here. Here, this chat is up for myself. All right. So lots of stocks on the watch list for today. Here's the watch list. We are going to start with the earnings name. There's only one today after hours, thankfully, and that is PLAY, Dave and Buster's. If I remember correctly, very low volume stock for a $24 price notional value stock. So yeah, 5 million shares traded today. Average 30-day volume is 1 million. Not what you want to see. And looks like it's actually going to flush on the earnings report. Volume spike off of the earnings report for the most part, and taking out the most recent lows, taking out this week's low, taking out you know, the consolidation areas. So potentially giving you a trade down to $15 if the report is bearish. But I almost don't think I'm interested in a trade if the stock is somewhere in between over here. I want to see it at 15, where I might try a long, if I'm being honest with you, for the day trade, and then I can think about the swing trade later on if I want to short the pops or whatever. But ooh, I didn't want to delete the line. Potentially looking for a long if it goes into the $15, but more importantly, I would love to see how the stock trades at this $21.80, at this $22 area. And if it manages to find some sellers at that $21.80, continue to show me resistance on pops into this price point after that earnings report. Honestly, don't even need to read the earnings report, but we will do that in a minute. Based on the current reaction, as long as you're staying below $22 on pops, I'm interested to see how it plays out. You could say the inflection level's $20. You know, the ATR of the stock is about $1.25, so generally for a $2 move would make sense. So $20, maybe you find some support, and you can see how after creating a bottom at $19, it manages to turn this $20 area into a support for now. So somewhere between $20 and $22, you might get the after hour consolidation for the rest of the night, and then tomorrow we'll see if it manages to reclaim 22, or does it give us a trade around 22, does it give us a trade around 20, or you know, even bigger move to the downside. Now, along with this, couple things I want to keep an eye on for the name is, what is the PE ratio. It is a very fairly cheap stock. It's a 23 PE, forward PE of 10, so fairly cheap stock, under its 200-day moving average, while the market is basically ripping to the all-time high. So not ideally a name that you want to be looking for, because this might be you know, some investors might be wanting to look at this name to as a dip buy. I don't know why, because it's under the 200-day. You're now getting the 50-day moving average sloping to the downside, potentially getting ready to give you the golden cross to the other side, which is what, the death cross. So potentially giving you the death cross very soon, right after giving you the golden cross over here. So not good things showing up for Dave & Buster's. Not sure why any investor would want to be snagging up this position tomorrow, but just an idea to keep you away from really forcing a short in this area. By you, I mean myself. I'm trying to, you know, talk myself out of a trade idea here, which is mostly what trading is. You got to talk yourself out of trade ideas. The more you talk yourself out of a trade, the better you'll be when it comes to selecting the right trade. If you're trying and trying and trying and trying to really not you know, find a trade on a stock that you think has a good trade, and you can't find reasons to not trade it, then there might actually be a really good trade there. But you know, most people, what they do is they go into a position, they go into an earnings report or a reaction like this, and they go, oh, there's a really good trade here. As long as it keeps rejecting 22, I'll look for the short. It might work, yes, but you know, you gotta really talk yourself out of as many trades as you can. So I'm trying to talk myself out of a trade in the middle of the ranges over here. Anywhere between 20 to 22 is playable for me. Anywhere between 15 to 16 is playable for me. So I'm watching that area to see if it comes into play. What was the TLDR on the news with play? Says Mud Baby on Twitch. Wow, someone on Twitch actually in the chat for once. That's surprising. The TLDR on PLAY actually is the earnings report. So let me boot up my handy dandy tool Benzinga. Shout out to Benzinga for sponsoring the earnings segment. We're gonna quickly give it a second over here while it boots up and head over to the newsfeed section. Close the chat over here and type in PLAY to check out the earnings report. Benzinga reported, Player reported $557 million compared to estimates of 562. So barely missing estimates over there on the revenue side. How about on the EPS? 40 cents per share, missing estimates of 92 cents. So they did miss EPS by quite a bit over there. Total revenue growth came in approximately flat year-over-year basis. Looks like people are not going to Dave & Buster's to enjoy their time. People are not going out there on dates anymore. No more birthday parties in Dave & Buster's. And comparable same-store sales actually fell by 3%. That means, stores across same store sales basically fell by 3% across the board, which is not good. The company opened 3 new Dave & Buster's despite the fact that the growth diminishing in the quarter, and 1 new store subsequent to the quarter's end planned, I guess. Dave & Buster's generated $34 million of operating cash flow during the second quarter and ended the period with $443 million of available liquidity. Not sure what their lights on cost is, but $443 million does not seem enough money to keep the lights on for too long. We operate strong brands with an exceptional business model. What other brands do you own? I didn't know that Dave & Buster's owns other brands. That's pretty interesting. But maybe something to keep a look on over there. Dave & Buster's noted that same-store sales trends in the third quarter have been consistent with where they were exiting the second quarter. So he's trying to downplay that, okay? Company said it expects to open at least 5 additional international franchises. What is the guidance, though? I want to see the guidance, and we don't really have a clear-cut guidance over here on the report. Maybe somewhere over here. Maybe somewhere over here. Maybe in this report. Nope, don't see anything over here. Let's continue reading this report though, because I want to see what is it? So they missed estimates by 56% on EPS, and that's a 64% decrease of EPS from same period last year. So he's trying to downplay it. He said it was in line with same period last year, year over year, but really it wasn't. It was a 64% decrease from same period last year. And for the revenue, it was only, I guess on the revenue side, it was very much in line with same period last year, but the EPS was a pretty big hit. I don't see anything about the guidance, but it looks like, they just keep hammering the point that they're going to open more stores down the line. If you're not profitable, opening up more stores is never really the right idea, so far not looking good over here, and you can see how that pop into $22 already getting sold off. Currently still holding 20, and I think we'll be able to see how the stock trades between that area. Besides Play, no other name really reported earnings today, or even names that are reporting earnings tomorrow that are interesting to keep an eye on. So that allows us to keep a very, very wide watch list and a very interesting watch list to talk about. For myself, I'm still waiting for my day trade broker to send me my my box which I need to trade with. So I'm just managing my swing account. On my swing account today, I opened AAOI. I covered a little bit of Tesla on the pop. I was thinking about covering BABA on the pop, but I really didn't. I just kind of let it pull back on me. I mean, BABA still closed 1.92%. And if you look at BABA on the monthly chart, this is just really getting started. Right, look at the monthly base. We're just now getting back above the recent, not recent, but the IPO months area high, and this stock and the sector in general with the Chinese AI, Chinese technology sector has really lagged the American AI move quite a bit. The Nvidia, Tesla, for example, today, Google, for example, gaining a lot of market share. Google actually going up to the $3 trillion marker today, whereas BABA, which has probably equivalent level of AI at the moment as Google. If you go look at Polymarket, which is the bearer of truth these days. If you go to Polymarket, go to AI, and look at what company will have the best AI model by 2025. Baba is not that far back. Yeah, it says 1%. But if you go look at the arena models, which is what they look off of, these companies are not that far out. 1428, 1455, right? You're stones throwing a distance away from each other in terms of score over here. So China has really not gained the traction, the boom as the US positions and US names have. So we're gonna probably see a lot more upside coming into play on some of these names, like Baidu, for example, which has a big base for the right side on the monthly chart. You can even go on the weekly chart if you want to go see a smaller time frame, or the daily chart if you want to see even smaller time frame. These are mainly for the swing trade ideas, but just to show you that these names are very much important to keep an eye on. So Baba didn't really do too much over there, just watched it pull back for me. AAOI, shout out to PW, that's People Wish on Twitter. He called out this name. Nice little breakout. Realistically, the breakout was down here near the 200-day moving average. But I kind of took this trend line breakout. So getting above 28, above this volume node, holding that midpoint area, holding the 9-day moving average, just multiple reasons to kind of initiate a trade. Realistically, could have initiated a trade at 26. My stop would have been much tighter, but initiating the trade today, my stop is basically under today. I added multiple times throughout the day today, and I'm looking for that expansion move on this name. The stock has a $9 average daily range, and it basically moved 9%. Sorry, not $9, 9% average daily range. It basically moved 9% today. Volume coming in on the breakout. Ideally, that's what you want to see. If this keeps on continuing, I mean, this could really end up being a 50% winner for me, but it does need to get above the 3150 hurdle first. So let's see if we can push into 3150 or $32 area, and in the next few days, by Friday hopefully, and then we manage to consolidate around 32, giving us a little bit of a bigger breakout into 45. I mean, I'm not going to complain if it just breaks through 32 and just charges all the way to 45. I'm not going to complain at that at all, but that just means I'm going to have to take more profits than I intended to, and I won't be able to add to my position as I also intended to. If it does go here first, trade sideways, and then blasts off, I'll be able to add to my position and then put a stop somewhere here. But if it just does this, then I won't be able to add to my position as I want to, because it's going to be too extended too quick, and then I'll also have to be taking too many profits off the table, because I think it will whipsaw right back. So AAOI, just some management over there. TSLL is in my position, manage some of that on the finally back above the 200-day moving average on TSLL. But basically it's a leveraged Tesla. If Tesla moves 3%, TSLL moves 6%. So it's a 2 times, right? So just taking advantage of the leverage over here and riding the rocket ship to the upside. Hopefully the top doesn't come in anytime soon, and we just ride this market wave and this rocket ship. why don't we go to the top of the watch list now, because some of these stocks are very interesting for the swing and for the day trade. Starting with Pony. Pony, last time I checked, was supposed to get acquired by Uber, or have some sort of a partnership with Uber. I'm not sure exactly what the news catalyst was back in the day over here. But now setting up for a very decent opportunity, honestly. If you throw in an anchored VWAP from there, IPO anchored VWAP holding. If you throw in an anchored VWAP from the lower day, that lower day actually was here, or all-time low, that also intersects with that area. And if you throw an anchored VWAP from the all-time high, that also intersects with that area. So it just shows you that, multiple confluence VWAPs, showing you that the average price of the all-time high, the average price of the all-time low, the average price of the IPO, all of them intersect at right around a very clean support area. At the same time, you're getting a triple top breakout, so potentially getting long somewhere here and putting a stop somewhere down here. Ideally, you would love to get long on the lows here, right? But getting long somewhere here, and then putting a stop even at the low of this little consolidation area would not be the worst thing, in my opinion. So keeping an eye on Pony for the swing trade, and then the day trade automatically opens up if you're able to hold above the $17. Any buildup of support above 17, I think this stock just really starts to explode tomorrow. You can see how some volume has already started to come in on this name. So that's going to be, honestly, you could even say for the swing trade too. If it starts to get above 17, that's your all systems go on the trade at that point, and then you just start looking to see how much risk you can put in. Where is your stop? Maybe today's low is your stop, so $15, so you're giving it about $2 worth of risk for that long over there. Just some ideas for you, right? If you don't want to give it $2 worth of risk, wait for the stock to get above 17 tomorrow. Give you some sort of opening range 5-minute breakout. You take the opening range 5-minute breakout, and then you put the stop on the low of the very same day, so which would be tomorrow if that happens. And then you try to see if the momentum comes in and carries you to the upside. I would like to see if I can get a little bit more lucky. By that I mean I'm going to give it a little bit more risk and see if I don't get wicked out by some sort of a stop punt or a fake move to the downside, right? So open up some risk room, see if that opens up some winning probability. If it does, I manage to capture a bigger move to the upside. At the same time, I have to take into account that the bigger risk means I have to take less size initially, and then I have to add to my position as the trade works for me. So just a couple ideas of how trade management, risk management, setting up a trade idea, and all of that comes into play. Okay, so Pony, keep an eye for that $17 juicy $17 area. I might even put 1680 as a resistance just to have the whole 1680 to 17 area on track. AAOI, basically $28. You don't want to see the stock getting back below 28. And I don't think, we will be seeing that coming into play. Nice little volume spike on the day today, and very, very clean, gradual move to the upside all day. If it does pull back to 28 and gets back below it, I might actually just take my loss and move on this name. But we'll see. Now it's my biggest position in my swing account. My biggest position in the swing account, so watching this name go up would obviously be wonderful. Can't wait for AAOI to start making that rally to the upside. Currently, nothing really to do other than just keep an eye on it for myself. For those of you who did miss the trade on this, you want to get long closer to $28, so 29, 28 sounds about the right area. If you want, you could also wait for the stock to push into 32, create that sideways dance action around 32 as I mentioned earlier, and then you get to start a trade around 32, whereas I will be adding to my position around 32 depending on how the action is. Now let's go to the best stock of the day, the biggest mover that everyone has been talking about nonstop. That is Tesla. What a monster move. Obviously, Elon buying the name caused some sort of an uproar. And people loved it or people hated it. Some people have a tin hat on like me. Some people also love it that Elon's doing that like me, because your positions are going up. At the end of the day, it doesn't matter what Elon's doing. It's how the market's reacting to what Elon's doing. And so far, the reaction was, I guess you could say, a little bit mixed. They did manage to sell Tesla off later on, but realistically, I mean, this is a large cap stock that just went up 20% in 3 days. You're telling me you're not going to see people take profits on a 20% move? I think that's what you're seeing. You're seeing some profit takers from some weak paper hands like myself. Paper handed traders are taking profits. Diamond hand traders are going to hold it and trail it to the 9-day moving average, to the 21-day moving average. If you actually notice very closely, the 50-day moving average is about to cross the 200-day moving average one more time. It happened over here to the upside, but then some sideways, and now you're about to see the golden cross take place one more time on Tesla. So catching up to the bull rally, potentially going into the all-time high very soon. 500 incoming very soon. If you notice how Google made this move into the all-time high, once it caught traction, it just started going. Granted, maybe I shouldn't say it just started going. It was a little bit slower, and then it just got away from me. But Tesla, I don't think it's going to be like that. It's not going to be one of those slowly and gets away. It's just going to start going insane. You're going to see some gamma squeezing, some options buyers coming in, some YOLO traders, some all kinds of crazy people coming into play. So gold hands are not good enough, Sean. Gold is still a very soft metal. Gold is very malleable. I think that's the right word to use. 28 karat gold, 28 karat, or is it 24 karat? 24 karat is it 24 karat? I think it's 24 karat. Anyways, the gold is very, very easily malleable. If you have a pure gold thing, I'm pretty sure you can start shaping it with your own hands almost, depending on how much of it you have. But diamond, now that's what we're talking about. Diamond hands, baby. That's the real mineral. That's not a metal. Real mineral that cuts through stone, that cuts through everything, right? So that's what you need. You need diamond hands for Tesla. At the moment, I'm trying to bring in my diamond hands as much as I can. Exactly. Be like water. Yes. Be fluid. Swim. What is this? The Jackie Chan? No. Wow. How can I say Jackie Chan? The Bruce Lee saying, be the water in the glass. Okay. Just be the water. Don't try to be fancy. As for Tesla for the day trade, I mean, this is very much extended. If I go to my this is not mine, but a tool made by a good friend of mine, Yanni Trades. This is basically showing you how many ATRs the stock has moved in a 5-day span, and this is basically moving 4 or 5 ATR in a 5-day span. So if we get a gap up tomorrow or a push into today's high and a reject around today's high tomorrow, that could potentially set up some sort of a first red day setup over here. But notice how low the stock closed. It closed at 410. So what I'm seeing at the moment is a probability of where the stock actually reclaims today's VWAP tomorrow, most likely just trades around today's VWAP all day tomorrow, or reclaims today's VWAP and goes back to today's high. So that's a very, very clean probable setup that I'm envisioning right now. It's just like clear as day showing up in my mind that it's going to reclaim today's VWAP and then trade sideways, or reclaim today's VWAP and push back to today's high. Had it traded somewhere closer to today's high, potentially a gap up and then pulling back below today's high would have been some sort of a setup over there. But this just shows that I think we're gonna see more upside coming into play on this name tomorrow, at least an inside day. I'm not expecting something like this tomorrow, nor am I expecting a gap close. I'm expecting an inside day, hopefully midpoint or higher, showing you that buyers are stepping in and they are looking to buy above the 400, above the 410 area, which is exactly what you want to see if you are a buyer of Tesla. For the day trade, I think you want to be very patient. You want to make sure what setups you are applying on this. There's probably scalp setups that you can apply, like the SMB scalp setups, opening range breakout, the hitchhiker scalp, the backside scalp, the fashionably late scalp. I'm pretty sure all those setups will be possible. But as for a very clean, pure day trade, I don't think you're going to find one tomorrow on Tesla, because we're going to have to let it marinate and see how it reacts tomorrow to today's reaction. So on the watch list, no levels at the moment. Next stock, Google, a new all-time high, monster breakout above to the north side. I mean, no words at the moment. Really have no words for Google. I was long, like 181, and it hurts to watch the stock go up the way it is, because I got stopped out so many times trying to catch this long on this Scotch dog shit fucking name. Even over here, I was long. I got stopped out over here. Then I was long here. Then I got stopped out again. So, wow, just an insane rally without me. Google now enters the 3 trillion market cap. And I think tomorrow will be an inside day. You can see how anytime Google has a day like that, it's very rare that Google has a Tesla type of a move, right? This is one of the most boring day trade names out there, but today it wasn't a boring day trade name. It actually gave you a decent opportunity for the long side. However, I don't think tomorrow will be a decent opportunity for the long. There might be a decent opportunity for the short. If you do get a failed high day breakout on Google, that could give you a short back into VWAP, or even a short back into today's low, depending on how weak the market is. But you got to remember, what is Wednesday? Wednesday is FOMC. Very often, market does nothing going into FOMC on a Tuesday. Sideways action, muted action, markets are dead, boring, absolutely sleeper. So FOMC could be the day where the market wakes up again and starts moving around 2 o'clock, or on the day itself, and then 2 o'clock you actually get the sell-off, which is the sell the news event. Then you have 2:30, the Jerome Powell conference event, which obviously will move the market again. So lots of things setting up on Wednesday. I'm not sure if you're going to see a lot of people willing to put the risk, have a big risk appetite tomorrow. And because of that, you might not see a lot of volatility, a lot of volume, a lot of moving in the market in general. Not saying it's impossible, but it's just the most logical thing to expect from the market out there tomorrow. Okay, so inside day on Google, keeping an eye for that. Could be some trade around the failed high a day for a short, if you're keeping an eye out for that one. Orange setup. Apple, if I remember correctly, gapped up, but then not really anything of substance. Me being an Apple investor, I was very upset watching Apple go down the way it is, but I also told you Apple, as long as it doesn't get below the earnings anchored VWAP, the 200-day moving average, I don't care. Also, what you'll start seeing now on social media, people will start posting, is the golden cross on Apple, about to take place very soon. In fact, it did so today. Apple now above the 200-day moving average, at least on my chart, depending on the data that you're using. It might not be, it might be. Apple now is having the golden cross, which means you know, I can't do this math right now off the bat, but if you go ahead and do the math statistically, anytime Apple has had the golden cross, it has had at the very least a 20% pop to the north side. I just did a quick 3-time, 4-time test for ourselves, and you saw 20% pop each time. So if that's supposed to be true, a 20% pop from here would mean a new all-time high on Apple, which has also been very lagged on the stock market, very lagged on the current bull market. So keeping all of these things in mind, I'm very bulled up. I'm very dovish on the market, and with if Papa Powell by some surprise tomorrow gives us what do you call it, a 0.5 beeps or a 50 beeps rate cut, which is not as high probability. The probability for that right now is at a 4.2. We're still calculating a 95.8% probability that we're going to get a 25 beeps rate cut. But what if we get a surprise 50 beeps rate cut? This market is flying to the north side. We might just get a market-wide halt to the upside on the market if we get a surprise 50 beeps rate cut from Jerome Powell, which would be insane. It would be an absolute movie. An absolute movie on the stock market, which I don't think you should be expecting. But at the same time, fingers crossed. Fingers crossed for everyone's portfolios, everyone's stock market accounts who are long. If you're a bear, rest in peace to your account if that happens. If you are a bear, there is a probability that we do get a 25 beeps rate cut and the market actually pulls back, because we've already been pricing in a rate cut of a 25 beeps. So, it's buy the rumor, sell the news. So the rumor has been bought up so long, and now we're going to finally sell the news. So that's the chance over there. But fingers crossed, ladies and gentlemen. Let me see some clovers in the chat. Some clovers, some fingers crossed emojis in the chat for a 50 beeps rate cut tomorrow, because that could just send Bitcoin to the upside. That could absolutely send Bitcoin to the upside, and absolutely send Tesla, Apple, and all the other names in your accounts and my accounts to the upside also. I see some clovers. I see Diders in the house. What's up, Dider? I see Angry Buddhas in the house too. So yeah, very excited for Wednesday to see how that one sets up. A little optimistic maybe for myself over here. Going down the watch list, Apple, Amazon, Microsoft, Meta. I mean, nothing really to get too excited about. They all did tick up higher, so that's a good thing. Microsoft ticked up higher, Meta ticked up higher. They all look like they want to start climbing back to the north side, so that's generally a good thing. But for the day trade side, they're the only names that I care about are Tesla, Google, and Nvidia from the Magnificent Seven basket. So Nvidia also worth keeping an eye on, but not really as clean of a stock compared to as Google or even as Tesla to keep an eye on. Let me just mark Nvidia as an orange marker for now. Continuing down the semiconductor sector, because we just talked about Nvidia really quick over here. Going to AMD. How did AMD do today? Did not take a look at it at all. Let's go see what did you do. Not interested. Looks like for the most part, the semiconductors here did nothing. Micron, I'm guessing, continued to keep rallying, because the other stocks, which is Seagate Technologies, Western Digital Technologies, are all still going insane. SanDisk is going nuts. SNDK is almost at $100. WDC is at $100 plus. STX is $200 plus. So all these stocks are going nuts. Very much on the watch list at the moment for an eventual parabolic blow off top mean reversion setup coming into play. I mean, this is ridiculous. This is absolutely ridiculous. So keeping an eye on these names. Already missed the rally, so I can't do anything. I can't join the rally for the long side now. All I can do is be very patient for the eventual first red day setup to come into play, to take advantage of the what seems to be very soon a parabolic blow off top coming in and setting into place. I mean, look at that move. If you zoom out, how parabolic and straight linear to the upside, is that the right word even to use? How insane is that move from April of this year? You have a 200% move almost on that stock. That's 235% move from the April lows to the highs of what are we in now? September? Insane. Monster move on Seagate Technology. So keeping an eye on all these names. AVGO, recent earnings name, holding fairly well above the earnings day high. So can't complain. Kind of waiting for the 9-day moving average and the earnings anchored VWAP to catch up to the range low. If you are interested to buy some AVGO shares, that is, I'm not really looking to buy AVGO shares for the day for the swing trade. So nothing really to keep an eye on over here. But maybe for the day trade, if some volume comes in, we can keep an eye on over there. Oracle, I think, is also in the same basket. Other than actually, no, Oracle could give you a good gap close because there is decent amount of bearish sentiment about Oracle's move to the upside. As long as Oracle stays below 300, I think you can continue to fight for the short. But if Oracle starts to reclaim 300, you don't really want to be fighting for the short. So it's that psychological price dollar point. It's not really a concrete trade idea. It's more of just a psychological price point, right? If it's not able to stay above 300, are you really bullish off that earnings move, right? So it's kind of more of just the voodoo science math idea. And if it does play out that way, I think you'll be able to catch a move down to 290, maybe even an eventual gap close. But the way it's playing out right now is actually what Simple Ariel said. His name's not Simple Ariel, his name's Real Simple Ariel. He said possibly some sideways action on Oracle before we see any sort of another big reaction like this on the stock. That was a crazy reaction, and some of the people are also calling this move a Ponzi scheme. Oracle invest 30 billion in OpenAI. OpenAI invest 30 billion in Oracle, and they're just kind of like reinvesting in each other, and it's just this constant circle. It looks like since it's a circle, I guess it's not a pyramid scheme, but it looks very much like a pyramid scheme. So constant recycling of funds and boosting each other's value and boosting each other's net worth somehow over here, I guess. And that's like the Twitter sphere topics that are floating around in meme formats, but it's fun to talk about. It's fun to think about. At the end of the day, the reaction is all that matters, and you can see how AVGO is actually holding above its earnings day high, whereas Oracle is holding below its earnings day low. So that's basically a very, very clean indication as to how the market's thinking about the name. Right, so possibly a gap close coming in down the line. The more we stay below 300 or even around 300, ideally you want to see it reclaiming 300 and getting bullish above 300. If you're interested in the longs, that is. RIOT recently breaking out of what was a very, very big sideways channel. So possibly keeping an eye on this name above $17. This little action actually makes it very interesting. So getting into this $16, getting above that 16, breaking above it, and then forming what could be a very clean breakout of 17 to the upside. So swing trade, day trade above 17 or RIOT is potentially worth watching when it sets up, eventually coming into play. It does have a high average daily range. It does trade a decent amount of volume. It is in that sector where the stocks are going nuts in. For example, WLF, HUT, which is another crypto miner. Mara actually is not doing the same thing, but we know why, because Mara doesn't provide the same services as RIOT and HUT. Another one is BITF. BITF did not give me a dip opportunity at all. Just continues to keep going parabolic, which is great. You know, you're trading more volume the higher you're going, which is exactly what you want to see, because eventually you're gonna set up for the first red day setup. So let me actually put in FRD watch on this one. Was there another one that was on FRD watch? Yes, we had. Did I have them on my watch list at all? There they are. FRD watch, FRD watch, FRD watch. Okay, and keep them in my notes to be ready for. BITF going nuts. Dieter saying CIFR is another one if you're interested. Anyone in the chat. APLD, if I remember, is another one too. So all of these stocks going absolutely bonkers at the moment. APLD, looking great. Looking great. Intel. Now, you guys have known me to talk shit about Intel every opportunity I get, but that doesn't look too bad. If anything, that it looks the cleanest it has ever looked. You know, so you know, possible breakout above this area on Intel for some sort of a move to the upside, worth keeping an eye on. I'm not sure when that's gonna set up. You would want to see a lot more volume now that the government is actually invested in Intel. That makes it a little better, I think. I don't know. I'm still a hater. So we'll see how it sets up. Just something to keep an eye on. I just felt like, you know, it deserved a spot on the watch list. So just meant to call it out quickly. Next stock that also in the same basket. I'm not sure why this stock hasn't caught any traction, but worth keeping an eye on. Dividend name, semiconductor name, and if you're watching how semiconductors are playing out right now, they're actually breaking out into all-time highs. So not sure what Qualcomm's problem is, but I think you know, this is a fairly clean setup over here, above 163.60, above 163.50. Any support above this area or a breakout above this area, potentially taking you to 176 very, very quickly on Qualcomm. Just now reclaiming the 200-day moving average, the 50-day moving average crossing the 200-day moving average. So that's the golden cross over there. Decent volume, actually not good volume for a $100 stock. Only 5 million shares, 10 million shares traded, but it's okay. You know, it's not like horrible volume, right? So it's still okay volume. Ideally above 163.50, 164, I think you could start expecting some fun on this name to the upside. So watching for some news, some catalyst to come out, or even just the general daily chart breakout long to set up to take advantage of, at which point, well, I don't see how the stock doesn't very quickly go into the 180 zone, given how the current semiconductor market's playing out. Another stock in the sector, AMAT. I'm not sure why AMAT is on the watch list. Oh, I guess, yeah, you know, just now reclaiming the 200-day moving average. But it's kind of in the same basket as Qualcomm in terms of liquidity. And if there is a stock that I like better, I think it's Qualcomm at the moment. You know, AMAT still has this 50-day moving average curling to the downside. I think maybe actually you could argue Qualcomm has a better chart. Sorry, AMAT has a better chart. I don't know. I'm going to argue that Qualcomm has a better chart. I can't remember why AMAT was on the watch list, but for the most part, it was the fact that it reclaimed the 200-day moving average, and getting above the last 3 days high could potentially open up some room to the upside. Here's SOXL, the leveraged ETF, the 3 times leveraged ETF for the semiconductors. Given how strong semiconductors are at the moment, you know, getting long above 30 on SOXL doesn't sound stupid at all. So watching for that one. But any weakness on semiconductors, you know, Nvidia's not looking strong. Micron's pretty extended, so possibly Micron's getting sold off. AMD's not doing a hell of a lot of buying. That might really put a break on SOXL's momentum that we're looking for above $30. So be ready to punch out of the long if it doesn't have that buying pressure above 30. But watching semiconductors go up at the moment, look how almost every single semiconductor stock in my list over here, except for like a couple of them, are green. That makes it special. So SOXL, you also have the leverage ETF SOXS, which might actually give you a good long if the market's crashing tomorrow in terms of the semiconductor market, right? It might give you a good long because it's a leverage ETF long in the other direction. Continuing down the watch list, we have RCAT, which is a drone name. Very interested in this stock. Recently popped up on News Catalyst, sideways action over here right around 200-day moving average right after that, continuing to show me that they're still a buyer around $8, some volume push over here, and then a 3-day action right around, this is like my favorite setup to watch for over here. However, stock did sell off in the after hours. Tomorrow, if we do reclaim $10, I think that's something that I'm watching very carefully for my swing trade on RCAT. However, I am running out of buying power very quickly. So I gotta be maybe careful on how I'm going to trade this. But RCAT, reclaiming $10 and showing me support above 10 tomorrow or any time in the near future would make the stocks a little important to keep an eye on, because drone sector has been showing some importance again. For example, UMAC, if you pull back UMAC chart for a second, there you go. This one looks very similar to Tesla, to AAOI. Not that they're in the same sector, but the chart formation, the way that the chart looks at the moment. So UMAC getting somewhere above $11, RCAT reclaiming $12 would really trigger the game plan for me on both of these drone names over there. So keeping an eye on the drone sector. Always keeping eye on all sectors. You guys know me. Look how long of a watch list I have created for you guys. Keeping an eye on everything for us. So you guys don't have to do any homework. All you have to do is hit the like, hit the subscribe, and share the stream with your friends and your loved ones, because we're doing a ton of work all for free. The least you could do is help me out with the algorithm. Currently, the algorithm hates me. Absolutely hates me. So help your boy out with the algorithm. Okay. Continuing down the watch list, here's IonQ. If you weren't in it already, it's a little bit too late. Now at a new all-time high on IonQ, along with actually OKLO, but we'll talk about OKLO in a little bit later. IonQ kind of extended. If you use this indicator, you can see it's very extended on the near term, so possibly giving you a first red day short very soon, or the higher the parabolic, the more parabolic this name goes, the better the first red day short setup comes into play. So just being patient, not being rigid, not being stuck into the short side only. But because I don't really have a swing trade on IonQ at the moment, the only trade idea that I can think of for the day trade is a first red day setup, or some sort of a short setup, some sort of a mean reversion setup. Looking for a breakout long on IonQ would be ridiculous. But what won't be ridiculous is if buyers are stepping in above 60. If IonQ is trading above $60, and I'm saying 60 because today's high is 59.89. So if IonQ is showing me buying above $60, why would you try to short that, right? If it's showing you selling at 60, that's good. But if it's showing you buying at 60, that's not a setup for you to short that trade. That's a setup for you to potentially look for a long on dips into 60 and then risk a move back under 60. Maybe you're risking 59. Maybe you're risking 59.50. Something like that, right? So 60 is a very important key level. Maybe even a inflection level and a resistance level tomorrow. So watching how IonQ sets up for the day trade side, it's actually a very good stock for the day trade. For the swing, not as good of a stock yet. You just want to be patient and let it set up. Instead, RGTI, which I'm actually holding some in my own account, might be some scary time for me, because if IonQ pulls back, that could be the trigger for RGTI to pull back, and I do not want to see RGTI pulling back below $18. That is the final line in the sand that I want to see RGTI holding. If it's not holding 18, I'm going to be a little worried. I think my average is actually 1750, 1760. So as long as it holds 18, I'm going to be okay with my position. Maybe even thinking about adding more to my position, given how volatile RGTI can get. But maybe AAOI, I made the right decision by making this my biggest position at the moment, because if this one can start bringing in some volume, this stock can really start moving. I mean, look how crazy the stock goes. 180% move over there within a few weeks, and then obviously a lot of giving it back and sideways, and then holding at the 200-day. If this gets active, another 100% move is not out of the picture, especially how the market's moving. Very volatile market. With volatility comes extended ranges. I also think the market is currently having issues with liquidity. That's why you're seeing such explosive moves across the board in the market. Where are the sellers? We don't know where the sellers are. Actually, TH asked this question earlier. Where are the sellers? We don't see sellers on the book as much as we saw them maybe a few months ago. So, maybe that's why you're seeing a pronounced gap ups and pronounced moves on the market across the board. So these are the kinds of environments that money is really made for day traders. And if you're in the right name for swing traders, you can also really kill it on the account. Start making some money for yourself. Continuing down the watch list, my throat is really... I feel like I have a lump in my throat, like a frog in my throat. Is that what it's called? It's this powdery stuff I ate today. I feel like it got stuck in my windpipe, because I can feel it. Did I look at Chewy? I did not look at Chewy. I don't think there's anything really here to be interested too much in. I mean, nice little double bottom, potentially reclaiming the 200-day moving average. If it does get above the earnings high, maybe there's some action over here to be involved in. But, there's better movers right now on the market. I don't think Chewy is a name that you want to really spend your time with. There's just way better names on the market for us to be involved in. Moving back from Chewy, because that's not a name that I want to waste my time with. Talking about RR, I talked about the $4 importance. That stock level is has been previously trouble for this name, and given how that $4 was the previous high volume close, didn't really close at the high, but the previous high volume day high, once we actually close above this day, which is almost like today, we actually try to close above that today. So I might actually try to buy some shares over here on my own account, and try to snag up some position or add to my position. Ooh, my position is going up in the after hours. What is it? Oh, it's RR. Where is... oh yeah, RR. Buy RR. How many shares do I already have? Okay, I have a decent amount of shares. I'm gonna add to this. Instead, I think if I wait for the overnight market, I might be able to buy it for an even cheaper price. I think I might be able to scam the market for a lot cheaper price for RR if I buy it in the overnight market, which starts at 8 o'clock till till 4 a.m. So I'm actually going to hold off. Instead of buying 397, I'm going to see if I can get 370, 360s. And then tomorrow it's going to open back around 4. And then if it breaks 4, I'll add more on the $4 breakout and then enjoy the run up to the upside on this stock. So RR, keep a watch out on this name. I'm gonna be seeing if I can snag some shares on that name in the overnight market. Hopefully you guys don't front run me. OKLO, big move on OKLO, breaking all-time high and then just continuing to get above the all-time high. Today was one of the cleanest moves I've seen on the stock. G-Man, shout out to G-Man on Twitter. Usually I'm able to stream on Twitter, but today some problem happened on Twitter. It's on my end. G-Man, if you're watching me on YouTube, shout out to you on this trade, big boy, because you killed it. What a very clean setup. I mean, just stair stepping, long here, long here, long here, and then just never really pulled back and tested the low. Spencer scalp, another Spencer scalp. Here's you have the fashionably late scalp, or you can even call it some sort of odd opening range break high, because the original opening range break high is all the way up here. Even if you do call this the opening range break high, you have a second chance scalp long here, and as I called it, the Spencer scalp long here. So many S&B Capital scalp entry longs are showing up on OKLO. A stock to study. And how easy was it? Look at the stock just trying to trading back and forth around the all-time high, and then very simple. And here's something that actually my manager, or I should say my old manager, because I am my own manager now, used to get mad at me. The old me would actually take the breakout on the original run up and then lose on the original run up, because it goes up and then it pulls right back down. So it gets stopped out somewhere and then I lose on it, and then I don't look at it for the rest of the day. Instead, if you just ignore the open, which actually G-Man did the same thing. He traded the open. He did take profits though, which was good for him. But he don't trade the open, ignore the open. Later on in the day, just clean setups show up. It's just clean setups. Just an idea. I'm not telling you what to do. Just an idea, okay? OKLO, monster move. Some stocks that could potentially play catch up on. NNE, SMR, NNE today up 12%. Nice little breakout on that one also. SMR yet to really do anything, but also worth watching nevertheless. So, SMR actually went up today too. I didn't see SMR go up originally, but SMR is going up at the moment also. So all three of these nuclear energy names going up. Even uranium, URA, uranium ETF. Wow, what in the world? Uranium ETF up 9%. Monster move on uranium ETF here. Let's go to the weekly chart. That is a monster move on the uranium ETF, and that just goes to show you, I mean, if you think about it, all this money has been pouring into AI, semiconductors, chips, data centers, and what's the next thing that facilitates this whole infrastructure? Power. Where does this power come from? They've been talking about it previously on the last run up. It's the nuclear energy. They were already picking up their favorites, OKLO, NNE, SMR, and those stocks are moving again. So it's not rocket science, right? People kind of knew that OKLO, NNE would be the next few stocks to keep an eye on, and now you're watching these stocks already run up. And if I remember correctly, last few weeks ago, I said the exact same thing. Watch for nuclear energy names to start moving next, and then robotics, and then drones, and then next something else will pop up. These stocks markets moves on themes, and then all of them start to sadly get popped like bubbles, and eventually come back to reality and pull back. The strongest ones survive, the weakest ones sadly perish, and so on. So energy names on watch. Surprisingly enough, Roblox still managing to continue to go higher. Actually broke out today, but looks like that breakout didn't have too much sustaining power and kind of closed above the breakout still. But Roblox is trying to push back up, which is pretty insane to me. Unity, a new, wow, I didn't see Unity do that today. Unity, another high off the 9-day moving average. Just an insane move. I remember telling my dad to go long this name at $14 and he was complaining to me, and now the stock is at $50. Dad, I hope you're regretting to not listening to your son, because your son's an absolute genius, okay? Because Unity is now at $50. That's what you get for not listening to your son, Dad. Congratulations. Okay, what an insane move. The next stock that I'm actually watching, the reason why I'm pulling up these game dev companies, Unity, Roblox, is so I can talk about, oh, Take-Two doesn't look too goddamn bad into the all-time high there. Let me just quickly throw an alert, 250.45. Sadly, not enough volume on this name, which is what turns me off. But anyways, EA Sports, Battlefield 6 is right around the corner. The stock recently made a run up after its earnings report, pulled back, and basically found support at the previous all-time high. The earnings anchored VWAP is now around the previous all-time high. So getting back above 174 just before EA 6, I think we're going to see a possible move back to 180 or even higher. The only downside is it's not like a 3% average daily range name, so it's going to be a lot slower. That's the only downside for EA, but I think there's a possible trade setting up, nevertheless, 174 or higher. My throat is dying, and I really don't want to be talking anymore, but let's just finish the last few names. We still have to talk about IPOs and an econ calendar. My throat is literally rest in peace at the moment. Not sure what's going on. Hopefully I'm not getting sick. A new all-time high now on Uber today. We're finally pushing back into the $100 price point, which was once talked as a destined level, but it seemed like a seller did not want to see Uber above 99 bucks. Every time it got into 99, they just Gandalf, you shall not pass, just kept blocking the position from going higher. We'll see if it finally manages to break out of what was a pretty decent base over here to the 99 area, and finally getting above 99 will make it a lot more fun, pushing into 100 and above 100 given the current market environment. So Uber, keep an eye on this one. I think even Lyft is giving you some sort of a decent opportunity around this as a sympathy trade. If you go to LYFT, I think $19 if I remember correctly, 19.20. Yeah, look at that, nice breakout today. What? Everything's breaking out today. $19, $20, $21. So $19 to $21 potentially a box getting ready to form. Buy into 19, sell into 21, and then a potential move above 21. You get to take advantage of that. And then GRAB, this is your Chinese, what do you call it? This is your, I think not Chinese, but Malaysian, something like that, Singaporean maybe, Uber, very similar to that Uber breakout, very similar to that Tesla breakout, now AAOI breakout. Let's see if we finally get a pullback on this name, maybe a first red day short setup eventually coming into play if it goes a little bit more parabolic, but not trying to force a trade on this name at all. Just gonna keep an eye on this one for a potential first red day setup, but there's better first red day setup stocks on watch. Already talked about Seagate, Western Digital, and SanDisk, so not going to spend more time on those. Quickly going to talk about Moderna. Moderna, $23, has a very big flat bottom, and getting below 23 and having a struggle to reclaim 23 could give you a short over here, or you can look for a possible dip buy into 23. Volume is going to be sucky. It's not the very interesting name at the moment. It's also pushing into basically the lows of the lows while the market's at an all-time high, so not really sure. It also has a PE of a very low PE, so I'm not really sure. There's something to keep an eye out for. But if we do get below 23, I think there's a very easy trade over here on Moderna. Baba, KWEB, FXI, China. We already talked about these sectors just absolutely blasting off. Very bullish about the whole sector in general. Keeping an eye on the sector. A Lab actually pulled back quite a bit. That looks actually not A Lab. A Net pulled back quite a bit, but A Lab looks very, very good still around the all-time highs. You know, sucks to be me who got stopped out in this area and missed out on a 100% move over here. But yeah, if you're still in this, A Lab still looks good. ANAT looks a little bad now after the pullback today or yesterday, but after that pullback, you can see how it basically bounced right off the earnings VWAP, right off the 21-day moving average. That's good. That's exactly what you want to see if you haven't sold yet. But if you did sell yesterday, I think that's fine because of the way the chart looked. Reddit giving you a potential a breakout opportunity very soon above 266.66, so that might be something to keep an alert for on Reddit. You know, all you need is Bitcoin moving higher and the market moving higher with some velocity behind it, and Reddit will really start blasting off. We've seen the stock go insane, so you don't want to miss out on something like that. And then CRDO, last but not least, this bad boy. I mean, we kind of called this on the earnings move, on the earnings day itself. We covered it picture perfect. I told you, watch for the stock to blast off because that report was insane. And now it's up, what is it? Up 20% since that day that we covered this name. So shout out to anyone who tuned into the stream and actually listened to me, because now you're up a good chunk of money because of your boy TraderPrad. So hit that like, hit the subscribe, and share it with your friends. That was basically today's watch list. Management of some names, keeping an eye on some names for the day trade, and eyeing some names for the swing trade. Hopefully you guys found some good ideas for yourself. My throat is absolutely dead. I'm gonna go try and drink some was it ginger water or lemon tea, something to soothe my throat, because I feel like I'm gonna die right now. Oh, my throat's killing me. I don't know what the hell that was. All right. Last but not least, econ calendar. You know, tomorrow doesn't really matter. I guess, you know, that's a wrong statement. Core retail sales, yes, it does matter. But the biggest thing this week is what's happening Wednesday at 2 o'clock and at 2:30. So just be patient. You don't have to press buttons every single day. Not every single day is meant to be day trading. Not every single day is meant to be getting into a swing trade position. Some days you just manage a position and just, you know, stay off, do nothing. Being cash is a position. Sitting on your hands is a position. So just doing nothing is great. And then FOMC day, we'll have a lot of fun. There'll be fireworks. Even if it's not a lot of fun and fireworks, if it does nothing burger and just trades sideways, that's a lot better than going to the downside for the swing account, right? So I think it's just a lot better opportunity setting up down the road. Just be patient. You don't have to really force trades if they don't set up tomorrow, okay? So that's your econ calendar. For the IPO calendar, nothing's tomorrow, but we do have 3 IPOs on the 17th, out of which 2 of them we're gonna cover. So make sure you show up tomorrow's stream. I hope I'm able to stream tomorrow. If my throat keeps acting up and I get sick, I'm probably not going to be able to stream. But let's see if I'm going to be able to deal with this throat today, hopefully. And then if we get that problem fixed with, then tomorrow we'll be able to go live, talk about StubHub, which is a big IPO, $1 billion offer amount. And you know, that should be a fun one to trade. Recently, the IPOs so far have not been so good to the long side. They have been decent for the short side, haven't been good for the long side. So we'll see if StubHub kind of changes that whole story. That, ladies and gentlemen, is the stream for today. Let's go kill it, make some money, hit the like, hit the subscribe, check out my Linktree page. I changed it up a little bit, the colors and stuff. All of my social media links are up here. My affiliate sponsors links are down here. And yeah, go follow me, check me out. We post a lot of trading content everywhere on all social media, and we stream on all social media. Thank you for following me. It's your boy TraderPrad. I'm gonna catch you next time. Peace.